All right, so we'll officially get started very soon. It's still preparing to live stream on YouTube, but in the chat, let us know what your favorite pen is and maybe why, and maybe what your favorite color is as well, and your favorite art medium. Cool. We are live. If you don't wish to be recorded, feel free to hop on over our YouTube channel as well. I'm going to share my screen for some intro slides as well. But yeah, welcome. We're super excited to be here with our buddies over at Discord. And if y'all are new to Design Buddies, we're really just a really wholesome community founded just to connect and support designers. I randomly made Design Buddies. I'm the founder of Design Buddies, and I randomly made it in 2020 of April 2020 as a small potato in design, and it was just for fun, and we just kind of became where we are today. And we host a lot of like events and stuff to help y'all level up your design careers. We also hosted a bunch of events. You can find them all on the YouTube channel, and feel free to connect with us on any of our social media platforms. And just some house rules. Events are recorded, and by attending, you grant consent. If you don't wish to be part of any recording, feel free to join on our YouTube. It's just Design Buddies. So you can search that, should be the first result. And feel free to engage via the chat. Share your stories as well. But at the same time, please keep promotional links on the networking sheet that Jess, our friendly moderator, will be sharing in the chat as well. And we always encourage y'all to connect with each other and support each other in your design and art journeys too. And then I have a lot of questions prepared from all of you who submitted via Luma. And we also have some Slido questions. We also have a Slido where you can submit questions and upvote each other's, so we don't miss any as well. And towards the end, we like to take a lot of group selfies. We also have some Zoom backgrounds y'all can use and rep Design Buddies, and you can use these anywhere you have a Zoom meeting. And feel free to share your takeaways on social media and tag Design Buddies to be reshared. And yeah, definitely hop into our Discord and just have fun, be respectful, and yeah, and just vibe. With that, I'll pin all of our hosts' video as well, so easy to follow along. But let's do a quick round of intros. So our question is, how did you get into art or design, and how did you get to where you are now? And feel free to share any fun facts about yourself. And I'll nominate Alina to go first.
Hello everyone. Nice to be here. Nice to meet you all. So my name is Alina. I am a designer, a graphic designer at Discord and on the art team. And I also do some illustration stuff, either on the side or for work things too, because we definitely overlap. So how did I get into art? So this is, I wrote notes just so that I have something to ground me. But basically, the long story, I don't know if anyone has a similar kind of past, but when I was a kid, I wasn't very like artistically inclined until I met a friend in 4th grade who had just moved from Korea. And she introduced me to those giant Korean comic book like compilations. I'm sure there's a word for it. But they're like super fat and I think pretty affordable. And that was like this is also, so I'm gonna show my age. This is like before manga was that popular in the US and all that. So she was kind of my into that sort of art style and like comics and things like that. And then as I kind of grew up, I spent a lot of time on Gaia Online and DeviantArt and internet forums, and also lived at my local library where they had a really sad comics collection. It was real pathetic, but you know what? You take what you can get. Also, I feel like I spent a lot of time at like Barnes and Nobles reading like High Fructose, which was like the only art magazine available to suburban kids from New Jersey. So yeah, that was kind of my art journey. And then for some crazy reason, my parents let me go to art school. I think it was because my older sibling went into computer engineering. And they were like, he'll take care of you if you're ever destitute. So yeah, that's my background. And my fun fact, which I use way too much in these things, but all of my front top teeth are fake. And I'm very proud of them.
That's awesome. I also love DeviantArt and hung out in a comic section in the library all the time. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can popcorn and you can nominate whoever wants to go next.
All right. I popcorn to Justin because he's
I
next.
knew it. I knew it. I'm Justin. I'm very glad to be here, talking to everyone. Um, I'm the lead illustrator here, so I run the illustration team with Kelsey and our other illustrator, Kevin. Let me see. How did I get started in art? I don't know. I kind of just always drew as a kid, like doodling stuff, copying stuff that I saw. But I think it was like my grandma kind of like nurtured, my love for art. She would take me to like every like gallery, museum. I remember going to like SF MoMA as a kid. I don't know. I think she kind of just tried to surround me and give me an opportunity to
It's really cute,
become
Justin.
an artist.
So wholesome.
I know. I love my grandma. Yeah, that's kind of how I got in. Just decided that I was going to go to Academy of Art in San Francisco. Kind of, I don't know. I didn't really want to go to any other schools. Art school seemed very fitting for me at the time. 18-year-old kid who loved graffiti. Kind of natural fit there. But let me see. Any fun facts about me? I used to have a 13-pound bunny. That seems very fitting. Today we were just talking about that.
Mega fluffle.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, he was
photos.
chonks. He was a thick boy. I do have photos. I can share them in the Design Buddy server.
Yes, we would love to see.
Yeah, he's huge. Kelsey, you're next.
Forgot how to unmute myself. Hi, I'm Kelsey. I am the newest. Well, I'm not the newest anymore. I'm pretty new to Discord. I am on the illustration team, so I work with Justin. But we're all pretty small teams, so we're all talking together all the time. I got into art. I was like really into like photorealistic animal drawings as a kid. I was like a proto furry, and I then I found out about furries, and now I'm just kind of a furry. But I got really into art through a friend of mine in elementary school who introduced me to manga, and then from there I was anime.
Yeah, we all have that one friend.
It was like Neopets and then the Neopian Times art submissions, and I was like obsessed with learning how to draw a side bunny perfectly. And then I got on Gaia Online after a brief stint at RuneScape. And then I started taking commissions on Gaia Online and Spada Pets, and I had all these friends that were like doing similar things. Like I had a friend who like was like almost an investor in like Minutia or some, I don't know, some like crazy avatar sites. But yeah, I went to kind of on a, I don't know, I went to art school because my best friends were, and so I was also, I might have been a biologist in a different life, but yeah, I went to art school, was initially trying to pursue like a career in concept art, and then realized that like just there was a lot of like testosterone and grind in that that career field, and I was like not so interested anymore, but I did like drawing, so I started pursuing illustration, learned about design, learned about printmaking, and then just kind of went from there, like taking odd jobs, doing freelance teaching. Have always been really in love with like digital art and been using like Photoshop and Illustrator for a really long time, and ended up here. Kind of, surprisingly, but it's great. Love it.
Just you get peer pressured into taking on massive art school loans.
What? I you haven't trained me on that yet.
Do you have a fun fact?
Oh, fun fact. Several times a week I have nightmares about Google Maps.
That's really specific.
Yeah, I have nightmares about where I'm zoomed out all the way on the globe in Google Maps, and then I start scrolling across the ocean. I get really freaked out. Because that used to happen to me. I had a really bad thalassophobia. like throw my phone across the room. Yeah, so I dream about that several times a week. It's very strange.
Wait, is it a fear of the ocean?
Yeah, like I just remember like when I was, do you remember like in like 2013 or something, before Pokemon Go, there was like a Pokemon event on April Fool's Day where all the Pokemon were popping up all over the world in Google Maps. And I was like, oh, I want to go get a Gengar. And so I pressed a button to take me to the Gengar, and it like zoomed me all the way across the Pacific Ocean, and I threw my phone across the room because I was so scared.
You should not download. Do you remember Google like World? It was like
that terrified me so badly. But
I've
been playing like Subnautica and just trying to desensitize myself.
Thanks for sharing. Yeah. I like randomly like scrolling on maps just to like see what things look like. I don't know, but yeah, thanks for sharing. I also like came to design and art through like Gaia Online as well. Neopets too. And I also, my other life, I was a bioengineer. I actually majored in that for my undergrad studies. So I feel like art and like biology are like kind of similar because it's like the design of life, and it's so like interesting. There's so much like story to how these like cellular processes work. So yeah. And also if any of y'all from the audience is also like played Neopets or Gaia Online or even did commissions there, feel free to let us know in the chat as well. I know we have Elizabeth who did Gaia Online commissions as well, and yeah, it was fun times. And we're gonna hop in over to some of our audience submitted questions, and our first one is, how does your day usually look like? And we go with Justin.
Oh man, I'm like the grandpa at Discord. My day starts at like 5:30 a.m. Wake up, feed my pets, take my dog Waffles for a walk. It's nice and quiet outside. It's cold now. Get to put him in a little cute sweater. Usually spend some time gardening, water all my plants, do a little work. I don't know. My day kind of just runs on taking my dog out for a walk and drinking coffee throughout the day. But it's chill. It's nice kind of now that Discord is like fully remote too. So there's no like hour and a half commute into the office anymore. So.
But also there's no separation from work and life.
It's work, home, play. It's all blended into one.
10 a.m. is disgusting.
No. I don't know. So I used to have to get up that early when I had to bike to work when I was living in LA because I didn't have a car down there, and it kind of just stuck, and I kind of just kept waking up at that time. I don't know.
Do you go to sleep at like 9 p.m.?
10 p.m. I'm an adult. 10 p.m. now, you know.
I see Jordy asked the same question. I got you, Jordy. That's the thing about early risers. It's like, I don't want to go to sleep at 10. That's so early.
Yeah, but if you start the day at 5, then 10 is like a normal end of the day.
That's like my goal of sleep schedule. I used to actually sleep at 8 p.m. and wake up at 3 a.m. That's because I wanted to. This is middle school.
What? Oh, it's because you were playing games early in the morning. I was
playing Maple Story.
You were playing, yeah.
Oh my god, I used to do the same thing to watch Digimon.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's like when your parents are asleep and they don't know, so they can't like tell you to stop. So it's like
actually, you know what? I actually used to do that in World of Warcraft also as a kid because I played a lot of World of Warcraft. And no one else would be online. You go do all your mining and your dailies without anyone bugging you.
Yeah, that's a good Maple Story.
Had to go do my job before school started.
Yeah, I used to do homework before school started. Yeah, I also feel like I'm missing out when I sleep early. Like I can like I feel like now it's like I have like so much stuff. Sometimes I have meetings at like 10 p.m. with people, and sometimes
Ooh.
I have meetings at 6 a.m. with people. So I try to like squeeze in a bunch of like design buddies meetings like before work and like afterwards. Yeah, I try to like set boundaries though. But yeah, thanks y'all for sharing. And I can also relate, like work from home, like I sit in front of my computer probably like 12 hours a day. It's not probably not healthy, but yeah, definitely a lot of pros and cons. Yeah, we're going to jump into our next question. Unless anyone else wants to answer this, I'm just going by the sheet. How did you find your personal art style? I know it's something that kind of evolves over time, but I was wondering if y'all can talk about like what kind of inspired it and what kind of helped it keep evolving. And I'll nominate Kelsey to go.
I'm so
Kelsey.
sorry, I can't figure out how to unmute myself. I'm like really. So I feel like this is kind of a weird one to try and explain without any like visual references because we don't like, since we all work for Discord, we work in a similar style, but we all kind of like maintain private practices as well. And so a lot of like the work that we do on our own time is extremely different from like the work that we do for the company. So I'm just going to drop like my Instagram and like an image of a more recent piece that I did into the chat so you can reference this. So the way that I was going to my art school was not foundational skills based. It was very like experimental, and it was a really small school, and so we were all encouraged to really like pursue our own voices. So I was trying to kind of navigate the space between like being my own independent creative with a vision of my own, but also having something marketable in the sense of like being a career illustrator. So there was a lot of like cognitive dissonance I felt between like trying to ensure my future and also being able to like make work that satisfied me and made me feel good. And I still kind of fight this a lot. Like I had now that I have this job at Discord, I had been freelancing before that, and it was really difficult to find my own voice in my work because there was so much like pressure I was putting on my own personal work to make it marketable. And I think like the thing that really brought me around to discovering my own style, or not really like discovering, but like freeing myself up to like really work in a way that felt natural for me and really like excited me, was just to start pursuing the things that I was really interested in. And I think that there is like a lot of pressure within the arts to make stuff that's like good or new or popular or whatever. But the best piece of advice I ever got from my teacher was that like if you follow your own excitement, people will be excited as well. And so I started thinking about just like what makes me really excited to draw. It's like really stupid, goofy looking stuff. And like the things that make me laugh while I'm drawing them. And I think that people, whenever I post stuff like that online, people respond to it the best. So I just really started leaning into that at a point and like going with my heart in like the proverbial sense. But another thing was that like I really started to develop a loose hand and like a gestural, like more naive drawing style out of figure drawing and doing traditional studies, because I feel that like if part of your brain is occupied with trying to visually understand the subject and like reproduce that, the part of your brain that's like trying to determine the style kind of goes offline, and then like whatever comes out is just like authentically you. So like I think that like that, and that might not be the same for everybody, but being able to find a way where I could like really free up myself so that like the parts of me that were being stressed out about like how to create work in a certain way were just turned off, so that like only the parts that felt really like natural were coming through, and then leaning into that. So
Yeah, thanks for sharing. I like how you emphasize how if you do something that makes you excited, other people will be excited as well. Because I feel like, especially for me, like the common feedback I got was like, don't do anime. Like it's not like art. But still anime makes me happy. So yeah. But yeah, oh yeah, Justin, did you want to share about how you got your art style, how you found your personal art style?
I don't know. I'm one of those people that I feel like I don't necessarily feel like I have like a set style. Like I I really like shapes. And so I usually try and like use a lot of like shape language in my design and use that to influence a lot of the choices. Like I like to try and align things to either like 45-degree angles, like 22 and a half, or like 90-degree angles in my work. I don't know. I just find it more pleasing to kind of draw like that. Um, but everyone should also go follow Kelsey. Her work is amazing. When I saw Kelsey's work, I was like, we need her on the team.
Yes, I just dropped all the links that y'all provided in the chat, so definitely follow Kelsey. I also love your work as well on Dribble, Justin. Like I also want to try out that illustration style. I'm just experimenting here, but I like how you said shapes because I feel like they're just like the foundational elements, and yeah, I can just keep building up on them as well.
Yeah, I
But
think it's
yeah,
too because I've done a lot of like mobile work with Google. And for all of that work, like it's such a small screen size. So you kind of have to think like the most basic shape, and what's going to like read the quickest. So I think that might have also been like a huge sort of driver in my work. I'm curious like how Alina got your style too. Because
So I have a
you have some really fun pieces that you've done like here and in the past too.
Yeah, I was actually gonna even speak to, like, I know that Design Buddies has a lot of product designers and then UX designers too. And just to speak a little to like the more graphic design stuff that I do, I think regardless whether you're illustrating or designing, one of the things that I think has just helped, this is good, this is also going to be like a really boring answer, but I do think that I had a professor once tell me just that, like, to not think about style ever, or like just like don't think about that stuff, just do the work and like just make things, and like as you keep making things, by the 300th design or drawing or something, like I know this is like a cop out answer, but it is kind of true. I think that there's something to not thinking about it so much and not obsessing over it, that it kind of naturally happens. And the things that you're inspired by, if you're looking at certain anime or certain websites or designers or whatever, like all of that stuff in your brain starts mushing together. And the more stuff that you make, even if it's trying to emulate something else, like I think that, at least in my experience, like your own personality starts injecting itself into your work and it just kind of happens naturally. Yeah, that's the corniest thing that I'll hopefully say today, but
yeah, no, I like that because I feel like a lot of people kind of stress out about like, oh, what should my style be? Like it should be something, it should be defined. But I like how you said just do it. Just do whatever like you vibe with. And
yeah.
ultimately you'll start to notice like some commonalities between them, and that could be your style as well.
I think it also speaks to what Kelsey was saying about like being excited by your own work. Like, of course, at some point, most people are like, oh, I want to get hired for this, or I want a job with my portfolio. And we can talk about that later because I think there are questions about like portfolios and stuff. But I think that keeping that energy of being excited about your own work, whether it's for like a super boring app or like an idea maybe that you're not as excited about, like that's the moments where you can kind of like inject yourself into it a little bit. And that it's actually, even I feel like that projects like that where it's maybe a super boring prompt and then you have to figure out how to make it exciting for yourself, is some of the like, it's like where the balance of like a really good portfolio piece comes in, because it's like, so a hiring manager will be like, oh, I can see this person knows what they're doing, but then also the other part of it is like the personality that you put into it, and that's kind of like your style. I don't know. Just keep making work. That's my answer.
Yeah, I kind of want to agree with that. And like to that note, say that like I, at a certain point, just kind of stopped using the word style because I feel like style is kind of a trident, like a kitsch has entered the kitsch zone of art, and it doesn't really like mean much anymore. Like I think style is something that's very forward facing but not internal, and we're asking ourselves internal questions about things that are really a presentation, not about who we are. And so a lot of the time style is like synthetic and created by a company, or it's engineered to like sell prints or sell merchandise or something like that. I think I've come to prefer using the word voice, because it's more about like the language you use to communicate graphics, what you are bringing to the art, and like what part of your personality is coming through in it. And I think that's just like very like it's helped me a lot kind of understand like where me and the art intersect, and like how I'm putting it out into the world, rather than like trying to think like of the presentation before I even think about like what I'm doing with it, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like style, it's always like it's evolutionary. Like you don't have to like finalize anything. It's like you can always change it. So I feel like that was actually, especially for me, like as a blocker, like I feel like I have to have a set style and it has to be like this style only. And I feel like it puts you in a box a little bit. So I like the mindset of just like doing whatever you want, and then on and just like remove like the pressure of fitting into a specific mold or style. And yeah, and so I'm going to segue into an audience question. And so this is from Anonymous, and the submitted live is, when you were starting out from school, how did you establish a brand / get work? Was it difficult to find work? And maybe this could be looped into how you made your first portfolio, and how did you brand yourself as a creative to get your first job? Because I know a lot of people in Design Buddies are kind of graduating from college or career transitioning into art or design.
Yeah, finding a job is not easy.
No,
I feel
it's
I
hard.
feel it. I feel the struggle. um, yeah, I'm trying to think. Every time I stop looking for work, I immediately put all of those memories in a box and I lock them away because it was really stressful, and I don't want to think about it ever again. I think I'm just going to speak a little. I also can't even remember the question anymore, but I'm going to speak a little to like when you're kind of still starting out, and you feel like you need to have a portfolio, but you don't have any real work experience yet, so it's kind of hard to show something, and it's hard to get that experience to show, and it's like this weird, horrible loop. And I totally get it, and it's really hard. I think some people, myself included, I feel like start out with just like taking jobs that maybe aren't perfect, but it's either two things. Like one, you're either learning something on the job, so it's useful, or two, it's like a low-key job where you can work on your own thing on the side or do freelance that you think would actually be portfolio pieces. It's building that up and kind of like getting a jump off is really hard. And yeah, I'm also like, it hasn't been that long, but I'm also just like, I've left that life behind. I want to forget my early 20s. I don't know if you have anything to say about it, Justin.
Yeah, I can kind of speak on this because just thinking back now, almost all of the like art related jobs that I've gotten have all been through someone else that I knew. I've always had a connection to the job when I got that job. Like my very first job was like a friend of a friend who needed someone to do illustrations. And he was doing all the animations and I was doing vectors in school. So it's just like, hell yeah, like I'll come get this job, you know? Then after that, like when I transitioned to out of that job and I wanted to do more freelancing, the first agency jobs I did were through a friend who was working at one of those like talent agencies and connected me there. And then they were connecting me to jobs at like Airbnb and like Facebook in San Francisco. And from there, it was just constantly like someone else that I knew that needed someone. Even here at Discord, I got this job. I didn't even know what Discord was at the time, but it was a friend's girlfriend worked here and they needed someone to step in and start like leading the illustration team. And I was like, oh, sweet, because I just got laid off. So hell yeah, I'll take this job, you know? I don't know. In addition to that, I would just say like networking and literally just take any kind of art related job. Like don't be stingy if it's not like your dream client. Like everything is like a stepping stone, you know? Like that job may lead to something else, it may lead to something bigger. Just don't do any work for free.
Justin, you worked for the talent agency and they hooked you up with Airbnb. I feel like I did the same thing in New Jersey and they got me jobs for Cancer magazine and doing like graphs and charts.
Well, this is like peak tech world kind of boom happening in San Francisco, and everyone was like, oh my god, we have to have an illustration, you know. I don't know, I think I got
right time also.
Yeah, I think I kind of got in on the whole tech illustration curve as it was happening. Just got lucky.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I feel like I've seen that tech illustration blow up as well. I feel like I was like when I was still relatively young as well, but I definitely agree, like networking. That's how I got my job at EA without applying. It was 100% through networking, and oftentimes there are jobs that are not posted out there. So networking, everyone. Yeah, Kelsey, did you also want to touch on this question?
Yeah, I have a very similar experience where every job I've ever gotten is because of the people I know. And I think like it's been really helpful for me. Like I very rarely put myself out for a job because it stresses me out. And I'm just kind of I work a lot. And so I generally like don't have any reason to take more work. But all of the jobs that I've gotten, like, I think it is very helpful to do it through friends because they know you and and if they know the position, then they know you, then they will only refer you if you're a good fit. And like, it kind of increases your chances of like just having a good experience with the job. And they can, guide you and you can go into the job with a good relationship. And I think like, yeah, having those kind of like mentorships are really valuable for that reason, because like a lot of jobs just come from like, some people starting a business and being like, we need illustration. Oh shit, does anybody know any illustrators? And then like, if you know people, like they'll just think of you, and that is like how people will come to you. Because like, this is a very like creative markets are very niche and, it feels very ever present because everything is online. But like, when you think about like, where are you going to go get carry out food? Like you're going to ask your friends for recommendations before you just like get on the internet and like, it's a trust thing. Right. And you want a good job. So yeah, being available and like just being on people's minds has like always been the best way to get jobs, I think. And just like, I think like my other tidbit is to like treat your relationships less as like means to an end, is more just like keep your friends close and like have good relationships with people that you trust and admire, and people who like love your work and you love their work, and that way you can keep like a very vital and healthy community where you're all looking out for each other and can like support each other in times of need. That's always helped me.
Yeah, thanks y'all for sharing. And we have about less than 20 minutes left. So we'll have the last 10 minutes as like a lightning round question. So just a heads up to breeze through as many questions as
Great. Grace is like, please speak faster.
Oh no. I like to gather like as many of our questions as possible, but at the same time not sacrificing quality for quantity. And so there's another question to kind of follow up is like, where did y'all network and make friends in the industry? Because I know for me, how I started was cold reaching out to people on LinkedIn. But I know there's now like communities like Design Buddies and like Discord communities as well, where you can like organically meet people. But we're just curious, like, how did you like any networking tips for any of our like buddies looking to get like a job in the creator field?
Instagram and Tumblr.
Tumblr.
I don't know. Most of my connections came through art school. I mean, Design Buddies is probably honestly a great resource too. there's so many people in here. Like, I don't know. I feel like just find someone that you vibe with, either like common interests, It's like the thing where like if you're friends with someone, sometimes they introduce you to their friends and then you meet more friends and it's like exponential growth of people that you meet.
Yeah, I'm really bad at networking, so I'm gonna not weigh in here.
I like to frame networking as making friends because I feel like networking is like very transactional. But I feel like the way how you meet authentic connections is coming to mindset of like helping each other out and giving value to each person. So I don't know. I've been like thinking about this for a while. Like I'm trying to stop using the word networking, but like making friends or connections. I feel like networking just seems like really intimidating. I
Right.
still
It
feel like
sounds
really intimidating.
like business, side. It's
Yeah.
like, I don't know. Sounds more
You're like,
salesy.
Yeah, it feels
yeah.
very inauthentic.
Yeah. That's called making friends, everyone.
Yeah,
Agreed.
agreed.
Yeah, so we're gonna kind of hop between some like career and art questions, and this one's like pretty quick. Is like, what are your favorite tools and programs to create art in? Um, and there's one specific to Procreate. What are some of your favorite brushes? This is like maybe too specific, so I'll keep it general. Like, what are your favorite tools and programs to create art?
Um, I was using Procreate for a while, but I do everything in Photoshop now. But I'm very particular and I like things to still look like traditional, even though it's digital. So I'm always looking for like really good brushes that can like emulate that. And I actually have found some. Let me find it real quick.
Yeah,
And I will drop the link in here.
I love Procreate as well. What about you, Alina and Kelsey? Do you have any favorite tools or programs?
Yeah, I used to be a big Photoshop head, and I stopped using Photoshop as much when Procreate came around. I like the way it feels to draw on a tablet more so than it like a handheld mobile device than it does like a Wacom Surface drawing. I really am pretty picky about like the brushes I use. Like I really like deadline brushes. I which is to say like brushes that don't have like a pen pressure tip to them. Brushes that feel more like drawing with like a Sharpie or Rapidograph or a Micron or something like that. Because I like to focus on line more than I do like well, I don't know. It comes out in a different way for me. I don't rely so much on like pen pressure. And I also like really like crunchy brushes, like brushes that have a lot of texture in them on one side. Like when there's like a hard edge on one and then there's like a crunchy texture on the other. So I've been messing with like pre-existing Procreate brushes to do that. There's a set called like traditional media pack or something on the internet. I'll try and find it, but I really like that set. So I'll let Alina go and then I'll try to find that.
Yeah, I had to switch my headphones. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking brushes. I don't use Procreate. I recently got an iPad and started drawing. Before that, I was just using my Wacom tablet and Photoshop. But I'm a big fan of, I guess because I do graphic design, so like I jump between Illustrator and Photoshop, and I used to do InDesign a lot too, and just like total monster at like just like copy pasting things back and forth. So for a while there, I really liked doing super blocky shapes in Illustrator and like blocking out vector shapes and then using Photoshop's like detailed texture brushes. Like I was using the Kyle Webster ones for a long time because those are like the classics. And then he like made a deal with Adobe. So now I guess they're built in. So that's what I've used for like many years. But yeah, I'm getting into the iPad. Haven't tried Procreate yet, but I've been using Adobe Fresco because we already have like Adobe Cloud Library for work. So I was like, why pay for Procreate if I can use Fresco? But I don't know. It's okay. I'm still getting used to it. If anyone has tips, let me know.
Yeah, I love Procreate. I also love Adobe products as well. So I don't know. I feel like there's like it's definitely like personal preference. I feel like the tool you choose doesn't really like affect your art. It's about what you put into it, and it doesn't really matter what tool you choose. So just use whatever tool you feel the most comfortable with. We're gonna get into a more deep question: is how do you deal with comparing yourself to other creatives? It pushes me to be better. At the same time, I feel like I suck. It's one of the double-edged swords, and I'm gonna kind of loop that into another question, which is, have any of you feel, but maybe let's just do like that question first before we move on. So I know it's like something that we all kind of struggle with as well.
My tip is that for a very long time, I would always have like an idea in my head of what I wanted a piece to look like before I made it. And I would look at other people's art until I was able to finally like push something through the pipelines. And at a certain point, I just came up with this thing where instead of going to other people's profiles, I just go to mine and I look at my favorite pieces and then I use that as reference. And then I get really excited about my own style and I'm like, oh, how can I innovate on this? So yeah, it's real and it's really hard not to do that, especially when you're taught to like learn how to draw from looking at other people's art. You build that habit up and it's really hard to break. And I don't think it ever stops really. You just kind of translate it in different ways at a certain point. But yeah, if you ever find yourself just like going way, way down the rabbit hole of like comparing yourself to others and like not being able to get your brain out of that pit, I'd say just like look at your art for a while and your favorite pieces.
I think that going to art school kind of like engraved this into my brain because you constantly sit there and you see some other people that are like so good. And it's like they're getting, really good grades on everything. And you're like, why are they getting A's and why am I getting D's on these assignments? It's weird that like there's grades in art school. Like you can get graded for your own art. So I was constantly looking at everyone else, but there was someone else, this other guy, Justin, that I always looked up to. And he told me that you have to realize that like everyone else has their own art journey, and this person might be better than you because they're spending like 200 hours a week just to get to this place, and so it's more a balance of, where do you want to be in your own art career, but then I don't think there's anything wrong with like looking at other people. Like I'm constantly like looking back to like much, much better artists than I am, just for like ideas, inspiration. Sometimes I like to see how other people, might compose stuff. They say great artists steal, always a fan of that. Sometimes I like to look at like Coles Phillips, for example, great artists, and just look and see how they use something and maybe there's something I can pull from that, bring into my own work and then make it in my own style. I don't know, it's hard. I don't think the comparison ever stops. I think you just have to like reframe how you're comparing.
That is true. Something else that also helps, even though I feel like a lot of people use like their contemporaries as inspiration sometimes, or like, whoever you see on Instagram that you follow. One thing I find that also helps is stepping back from that for a little bit and then just like looking at people that are dead, like historical references. It's just like it puts you in that headspace that Justin was talking about, where it's like, everyone has their own timeline. Some people only start drawing or doing creative stuff when they're like, well into their middle aged or something like that, and some people are like 12-year-old geniuses and are amazing at a young age. So we all have only so much time on this earth. Make it count for yourself.
Yeah, I agree. Like everyone has their own journey. Like don't compare your like page 1 to someone's like page 5,648 or something.
Mm.
So yeah, I feel like that. I also like struggle with that earlier as well. I realize some people have been drawing since birth, and sometimes I see a 13-year-old drawing like really well, and it's like yeah, but yeah, everyone's on their own journey. We're gonna go to our next question, which is: have any of you ever feel unmotivated to draw or design? And what do you do outside of work to keep you inspired? And how do you get around an art block?
Here's my rapid fire answer because I wrote down some notes because this is like a totally universal question that everyone goes through, and if you don't, you're a weirdo. But also give me your tips. So first thing is I really like cleaning and organizing, and I totally fall into that trap of like, oh, my desk has to be clean before I can start anything. So you have to be self-aware enough to be like, when is this too far? Because I always go too far. But I do think it helps kind of get your mind off of it. You're just like making your space perfect for like whatever you want to do. Getting away from the computer always helps for me in terms of like doing some sort of crafty thing with my hands that like isn't like on the computer or drawing or whatever. But one of the things I do the most often, which I feel like is more specific advice that might be helpful, even though this is like drawing advice, so design not so much, but I sometimes look at my phone photo album because I'm like, what am I doing with these photos? Like they're so useless. They just exist there and I do nothing with them. So I look through my phone and I kind of like star a few photos, and then I use that as just like direct drawing reference. And I'm not like just doing a 1-for-1 copy of a photo. Like I'll take this cat that I saw on the street and use that as reference, and then do some tree from another photo and some like random things. And then it kind of becomes like, it's personal because it's like things that you've taken photos of. And you don't have to think about it, which is like the key thing. I feel like for the art block, it's like when you start getting too insular and you're like thinking too much about whatever you're doing, it's kind of like the same thing that Kelsey was saying about life drawing and figure drawing, where it's like you turn your brain off of like the choices that you have to make and you just draw, right? Like you kind of like let loose a little bit. So that is like my one thing that I think I do that is maybe helpful. I don't know. Justin?
I usually just try and like get into a creative headspace by either putting on like really good visual movies or watching some anime in the background with the sound off. And I'll just kind of like draw with that in like the corner of my eye and just start like noodling weird stuff. Like I like to grab like a fat brush in a color, lay down a weird shape, and then grab like some kind of black, like pencil brush, and then try and like draw something in that. I don't know. I kind of just try to stay loose with it and not take it too seriously when I start to get that art block.
I like taking public transit and getting really bored and then not knowing what to do and then having to draw to entertain myself, because that's what got me drawing in the first place, is being really antsy and not knowing what to do with myself. But I've also come to really respect art block because there's a few things about it. Like I think that like when you're a baby, you have ideas, but you don't have the language to express them yet. In the same way with art block, like a lot of the times when I feel it, it's because I have my aesthetic sensibilities and my desires for creation have grown to a point that my hand has yet to catch up to. And that's a part of the process as well. Like I think that sometimes that just means that it's time to take a break and do something else. And I've also really had to reframe how I look at like what I'm doing with like how I'm assigning art block to my own personal value, and like why am I needing to break through it? Like sometimes I feel this pressure of like, oh, I need to be creating and I need to be constantly drawing and pushing myself. But the art block is there as this obstacle that I can't get past. And I just have to ask myself the question of like, am I creating because I want to, or am I creating because I feel like I have to? And am I just pushing myself to do something that I don't like need to do right now? Like, is it time to go and cook a meal? Is it time to go thrifting? Is it time to like go take a walk? Something like that. So I I've picked up some hobbies to try and keep myself fresh, like roller skating, reading sci-fi, finding ways to get myself bored. Like TikTok is really dangerous. Internet stuff can be a real like energy sap and a boredom sap. I think boredom is really valuable for inspiring creativity. But also like, I'd say if you're feeling art block, like don't beat yourself up over it because it's a part of the process. But it's taken me a really long time to kind of respect that part as well as the process itself, the creative process.
Yeah, thanks, Jill, for sure. And I can relate to just having an art block, but just like thinking beyond the screen and doing stuff like having hobbies and playing some stuff in the background. And yeah, it doesn't always have to be like on the internet all the time too. So there's some interesting questions that were also submitted in the Luma. And this one's about career. It's like, what crucial decisions did you make to help you make that get to English? What are the crucial decisions you made that help your career the most? Like, was it taking on a job or saying no to someone or pushing back with leadership, or it could be anything.
I can answer this one real quick. I was going to school for concept art, and when I found out like how crazy competitive that field is, like when my friends that were like older than I were graduating, they couldn't get jobs. I was like, well, shit, they're so much better than me and they can't get a job. And then that's when like vectors were coming around, and I was like, I'm jumping ship and I'm jumping on Adobe Illustrator. I don't know. I think it's knowing when to like pivot, or change something up,
To read the room kind of thing.
Yeah. Cool. There's another. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I started going to protests because organizing groups. I think like a lot of art industry can be really soul sapping sometimes to creative process. But if you can get behind a cause that you really feel passion for, and you're oftentimes going to be the only creative there, then there's a lot of opportunity to involve yourself in the group and like make work that helps people do the things that you're really passionate about. So like a few years ago when I started doing like like climate activism organizing, that really like reinvigorated something in me. And I kind of remembered like what it felt like to really feel passionate about art and like using it as a mechanism for change.
Yeah, I love that. I was also supporting a protest earlier this week. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into that. Yeah, and so and also kind of follow up is how did you deal? I know we talked about having your own art style, but in terms when you're working for a company, sometimes it's like not your choice. So how do you deal with a situation where you don't agree with your seniors or management with your design choices? Like, did you ever have to
Kelsey
like
laughing? I feel like Kelsey makes a lot of choices.
Do you have any stories
that I
you
shut
can
down,
share?
and Kelsey's like, why can't I make that?
No, you're a terrible enabler of my awful ideas.
I don't know. I think I would say like, I think for me, it's a bit of realizing that like work is work and it doesn't impact my personal style, like it's okay to make something. It's at the end of the day, this person is paying me to make it for them, I don't know. I say just don't let it like drain you,
Yeah, that's why I do like design buddies, because like work, there's so many constraints with it, but it's still fun and it's paying me to do it. So I just think of it as getting paid. Yeah. Yeah. And I know we have like 3 minutes left. So I know we got a lot of questions about recruiting and like people wanting to apply to Discord. So this question touches on that. So I'm going to do 2 more questions, this one and the last one. What is Discord's process for creating illustrations, like from start to shipped? You don't have to answer this if this is NDA, so just let me know.
Kelsey can talk about this one if you want.
Oh, if you're like getting hired.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was so weird. I applied on a whim because I wasn't liking my job, and I didn't even like live in a state where I was allowed to work for Discord. So I moved 2 months ago. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri, so I had to move to Chicago. But yeah, it was really intense actually. Like I don't think that it's the kind of job where I could have like built towards getting it. I think it's the kind of job where it just made sense for the kind of work that I was doing and the kind of sensibilities and desires I had as an artist. So finding a place I think that is a good fit for you personally and artistically is kind of the first step. Yeah, it was. There were a lot of different phone interviews, and then after that there was an art test. This is pretty common practice for tech jobs as well as just like larger industry jobs, is that after the portfolio and the individual interviews there will be a test of sorts to make sure that you can create on the terms that you would be creating on within the position itself, to suss out people whose portfolios might be inaccurate to their actual working capabilities, but also their problem solving abilities. And the ability to like match the needs of an assignment. So after that, it is just like it's that, and then being a good personal fit and being like having good chemistry with the people that you're going to be working with. So, but that said, it was a really intense process. It took up like 2 weeks of my life at least, like in work, and then a good like month beyond that of just being like really stressed out and like watching my phone for calls like every 20 minutes. Like I was so stressed out. I thought I was gonna die.
Oh no, Kelsey.
And the funny thing is like you and Alina were both like shoo-ins for the job. Like there was no way that you weren't going to get it too. And I'm sure on your end you're like, oh my god, there's other people that are better than me. I'm not gonna get this. But like, I don't know.
I still have no idea how I got this job.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm glad y'all made it in though. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I know we're just running on time, but I want to ask this like last question. And this one is, what would you tell your younger artist or designer self? And is there any advice you'd like to share that you haven't got to share today yet?
I have one piece of advice, because this is what my mentor told me when I was starting to manage people. And I want everyone to keep this in mind, but like wherever you're at in your art journey, like it may have taken you 10 years to get there, right? You may have had to take like the stairs all the way up to the top floor of the office, but now that you're there, like make it easier for everyone else to get on your level. He told me send the elevator down for them if you took the stairs. You might have had a hard journey, but that doesn't mean everyone has to have a hard journey to get there.
Mine is a bit of personal advice. For one, like I've kind of always been the artist in the room, and people would be like, oh, you're so good at drawing. I wish I was that good at drawing. And I'm just like, dude, I like don't know how to make dinner for myself. Like I can't get to bed at a reasonable time. I don't know anything but draw, eat, hot chip, and lie. Like I can't take care of myself. So like it's not always, ideal to idealize the lifestyle of the hustling artist. Like I think having prioritized that in my life for so long, I have really come to envy people who like know how to have a good day without having to make something and sell it. So I would just say like, the thing that I've been trying to live by is that at the end of the day, can I say I had a good day? Whether that means like making a drawing or enjoying drawing or just having made a really good meal for myself and like being really satisfied with it. But if I'm planning so far into the future with my art that I'm not able to look at my day and see whether or not I had a good one, and like if I were to suddenly perish tomorrow, would I regret not having had that meal that I wanted? That's like the most important thing, and that's like the fuel that you need to continue growing. So sometimes I just need to back it up, but I definitely encourage people to like put their life before their creative pursuits.
Yeah. I'm just going to steal your answer, Kelsey. But I would say, so when I was in college, I went into graphic design as my major, even though I really loved illustration, because I was really worried that focusing fully on illustration would like take away the joy from it, and like making something that I really liked be part of a capitalist system, you know. I was like, how do I avoid that but still do creative things like on the daily and be able to like sneak in some drawings? So that's the path that kind of I took, and I don't regret it at all. That's kind of just my advice of like, you don't have to. I think there is, I don't know about the general vibe in design buddies, but like if there's something that you really enjoy, like you don't have to make money off of it. You know, you might even enjoy it more if you don't have to think about that at all, and just think about how to take the things that you love and then inject it somehow into your daily life, or maybe some of your work. But my advice that I give to my younger self is dump your loser boyfriend and start networking with people in college.
Love that.
I did not talk to enough people at school, and that is like basically 90% of the reason you go to school. So that's my thing.
Oh my God, that's what everybody who was in a committed relationship for several years in our school said after graduation.
It's like
we're like, I don't know anybody here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing and being so candid with that. Yeah, I can totally relate. I feel like I really wanted to go to art school when I was younger, but my parents are always like, you're not going to get paid, or like, and I didn't want to get judged by my art. So that kind of made me go to engineering instead. But yeah, I guess now it all worked out. And yeah, so yeah, a lot of people can relate. So relatable. Also with toxic friendships as well. Like this is just for me, like I had a friend who was always clingy and really toxic. And I feel like if I dropped her a while ago, I would have met more people in college. So it could be anything. Drop toxic people in your life is something I would also add on. You don't owe anyone anything, especially if they're, I'm kind of going rabbit hole, but honestly.
Therapy.
you don't, so this is why I like to tell, like what I would tell my younger self is like, you don't owe anybody an explanation, and you can just do whatever you want. People judge you, like you're not here, you don't live to please them. So live your life and be happy. Yeah, with that, feel free to turn on your camera if you want to be in our group photo. We're gonna do a little wave for our Instagram story. Oh my God, there's so many notifications. But I'm just making sure I'm logging to the right Instagram. So yeah, all right. Feel free to bring your fluffles, or Justin has your cat.
I don't have a cat on hand right now, but I have Bats Maru.
Oh, no worries. I'm gonna take multiple photos and choose the one where everybody looks the best in. It's like real life.
To have a say in which photo is the best of us.
Yeah, sure. I just like stitch them together. I just yeah. All right, ready, set. I'm gonna take multiple. So. All right, let me my Zoom. All right. Oh my God, it's Shrek. Hi.
The Shrek model is killing me right now. I wish
Fiona
was.
Shrek is here.
I really wish Fiona was here right now. She loves
Shrek. We're gonna do a wave. Yeah.
Can we do an AMA with Shrek?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do an AMA Shrek. Shrek, contact us and we'll set that up. Oh, that's Fiona.
Oh no.
Oh, Fiona's here now.
I'm gonna record our Instagram story, so I'm gonna have all of y'all. All right, ready, set, wave. All right. Hello, buddies. We're at a wholesome AMA with our buddies at Discord, and I want to shout out to Fiona for joining us on the Pineapple Under the Sea today. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Okay. Oh my God, it's so funny. Is that a Snapchat filter? I guess.
You can't talk while you're underwater.
Yeah, that is awesome. But yeah, I'm gonna stop streaming on YouTube. So yeah, we can stay a few minutes for quick retrospectives as well if everyone's okay with that. And